Hello everyone, Conquer the Badger here. It's a special shout out and, lesson of history, Japanese history for Styx, because she's been recently showing that she's interested in Inuyasha. Now, apparently, Styx, the truth is that there's many of the Japanese battles that have actually occurred that I know the exact dates have happened, So, the one that was, that I know most famously is the Battle of Nagashino. Now, it started, when two rival samurai clans joined forces. These two were the bad guys. I mean, it was sad, really. And the one that lost that day was the Takeda clan. So, to make the long story short, they positioned a 2-mile wide fence so that they, using their defense garrisons, to position their gun garrisons, that they would load one bullet and then pack it down using musket wadding, And then, of course, they would add some kind of the shot would be a lead bullet, little round, tiny lead bullet. And those are still used. The muskets are still used nowadays, but they don't fire bullets from them anymore. They just load the gunpowder, then they fire without the bullet in it, so it's not going to hurt anyone. But they use it for demonstrations of how it sounded. That's what they do. Nowadays, they just take aim and fire without shooting any bullets out. They can do that whenever they're doing demonstrations, matchlock gun demonstrations many times. If I was able to do that, I would start, making, demonstrations. If I was, had the money to do so, or I would join in, if I was taking part in a festival of some kind, they have certain kinds of festivals in the U.S., but very few times it's been done. Just position it here. Now, from what I know, I'd like to try my hand at making demonstrations. I can't fire real bullets from that, but I could probably make help preserve the ancient weaponry and, polish them all. I've known how to keep my weapons that are unsharpened, polished, and just in case I want to practice with them. So, to get back to the story, what they have done, they were instructed to shoot the oncoming Takeda horses because they were the Horseman clan. Now, whenever they did this, the samurai working under the Takeda banner could not fight without their horse cavalry. So they were all destroyed. They were annihilated that day. The remaining ones that were the remaining Takeda clan forces had to make a run for it. There were many of them that did escape and were still at home during that time, at the castles. But later on, they branched out into the Ie clan. The Ie clan had the symbol of like a flower blossom. It was very large, massive. Had one stalk going down. Had 4 leaves on it. 4 green leaves on it. But it's like a flower of some kind. But they were still pretty fierce. They still wore the red color armor. The warlord's name was Ii Nawamasa. Nawamasa was responsible for leading a cavalry charge down a very steep cliff, and they took a massive enemy force by surprise and annihilated them just like that, just by charging into them, from a very steep slope on horseback. That's what he was famous for. And they created a special type of helmet to resemble the steep helmet, the steep slope that they went down on their horses. Very interesting how they did that. So, that was most of it. However, the Takeda clan, that was their first leader, named Takeda Shingen, he died of elderly age. But it wasn't elderly age. He died of some kind of injury. He died of a bullet wound shot by a sniper during one night. That sniper was extremely skilled. So one day they patched his wound every day, and he was starting to heal. But suddenly he died unexpectedly. He could not control his death, and they could not stop his death. So during all that time, they had to find someone to impersonate him. They taught him how to speak like he was, that looked like him in the face, but they had him impersonate him for 3 years. And I think when it was close to being 3 years, the person who was impersonating him, who was actually a petty thief that took a few coins over here and there, stole the coins and stuff. He tried to ride the late Lord's horse, but when the horse bucked him off, the horse realized that it wasn't him, so the horse would always panic when he went near him. When he went near the horse, the horse knew it wasn't him. You know, animals always have a tendency to know who is who, so they panic. There's animals that will do that. When they got bucked off, when he was bucked off, he broke his arm in the process, and the late Lord's concubines tried to rush to his side to check his wound on his broken arm, but they noticed on his back he didn't have the scar that the warlord got, the real warlord, mind you, had gotten from the Battle of Kawanakajima. They realized that wasn't him all along. Whoa. So they were furious. And having two women furious at a man is not very fun to watch. Even though they asked him to do it, the clan asked him to do it, and the women didn't know. Whoa, that was bad. So from then on out, they had to kick him out of the castle, and that's when they hired the real warlord's son, Katsuyori Suwa, who had to be the next warlord. He didn't know how to command the armies from there, so he was commanding the same army that day, the Takeda clan army, in the battle of Nakashino. So that's how he ordered them all just to charge, but he didn't know how to do it properly, how to do it in the correct order that his father did it. So when he did that, he drove them all to their deaths. That was bad. Oh man, they just charged down bullets and they didn't realize what was going on. They didn't even know it was about to happen. The generals knew it, but they didn't have any choice but to do as he said. It was bad. So when they captured Katsuyori Suwa, they beheaded him. The enemy did. That was the end of the Takeda clan as we all knew it. But then they all moved on to become the Iya clan. So that's about it for now. I hope this was an interesting, informative lesson, that I was going to give you. Concar Badger, signing off.